Hi, my name is Awesome Aguilera, and welcome to WEYT, the show where I find interesting people just like you and discover what's going on between their ears. Now, let's get to know one another. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of WEYT. This is Awesome Aguilera, and today's mantra is, I'm not sure what the world needs, but I am sure it'll take a better you and me. So let's get to practicing becoming better us's. And today I have, look at that smile. Look at that smile I have on the screen. So this is Jojo Shaw and my relationship with Jojo. And here we go. We're going to open up here because I met Jojo through Tinder. And I want to say that just to prove that technology doesn't always only bring bad things. I think, technology bringing Jojo into my life has been fantastic. And I appreciate technology for that. So there is proof that you can make good friends off swiping right or left or whatever way you swipe that day. So that is my relationship with Jojo. But Jojo, let the people know what you're all about.
Well, hello. My name is Johanna, and I do go by Jojo. I'm a single mom, engineer by trade. I do model as well. I live in Tampa, sunny Florida. And just trying to live my best life one day at a time.
So you said single mom, engineer, so basically you're a strong, self-sufficient woman. What even caused you to want to be an engineer to begin with?
Well, actually, that's an interesting journey because I started school as a pre-med major because I wanted to be a pediatrician. Huh, go figure. But I had some issues with the school I was attending and getting the classes I needed and things like that. So I ended up changing my major to computer science. From there, I figured I would do something, of course, in IT or so on and so forth. But then I ended up getting pregnant and I had a very problematic pregnancy, so I could not finish my term. After I had my baby, I decided to go back to a trade school because I figured I just need to get a degree, start working, and support me and my son. The school I ended up going to, my best friend also attended, and she went to her advisor because at that time, again, I was still doing computer science, and told her advisor, she was like, my best friend's really smart. We need to bring her over to our side. And at the time, she was taking electronics engineering. So he brought me in his office and asked me, he said, what do you like to do? I said, I like to take things apart, see how they work. And he was like, give me an example. I was like, Christmas lights. How come when you pull one out, the whole string doesn't work? That's when I learned about parallel and series circuits, and it's just been uphill from there.
So what's it been like being a woman in the STEM fields?
There are definitely some high sides and definitely some very challenging sides. As far as the high sides, there tends to be a lot of support, of course, because they want more women and minorities in this field. The challenges, though, come from a lot of old school mentality and a lot of men just not respecting the fact that women are intelligent. Yeah, we could be pretty and do some dishes, but we can also be a little smart too, you know?
Men can
So,
do some dishes too. Just to be TBH.
so yeah, I mean, there are definitely some fulfilling days and there are definitely some days where I'm just like, why did I do this to myself? But all in all, I am definitely proud of what I do, proud of the determination I put forth to get where I am. So,
And you also mentioned that you are a single mother. And
yeah.
how has being, an engineer affected how you are a mother?
It's caused me to be a lot more logical and rational with how I approach raising him and trying to move through different instances and scenarios that we've had in life. Yes, I do get emotional. I cry, I get upset, I yell, I scream. That's a mom thing, that's a person thing, that's a human thing. But all in all, it does make me sit back and reflect what actions and behaviors and things that I'm putting out are value add. It causes me to be very intentional about what I'm doing because I know that I have goals and I have steps that I want to get to that goal. It definitely makes me more methodical in handling him.
And how do you think it's affected him?
Well, one, he decided to go to school for aerospace engineering.
Yeah,
So
which congratulations for that.
Thank you. So I feel like it was a great influence for him because he's always considered some type of engineering, and I've opened him up to everything. Now, I didn't just pigeonhole him into that because that's what I did. Because at one point he wanted to do just business, and he couldn't really nail down what in business he wanted to do. And then he transitioned into mechanical engineering, and then he visited NASA. That was it for
That
him. He
was
was
it.
sold on aerospace. So
So how does he feel about Elon and what he's been doing lately with SpaceX?
he loves it. Well, for one, he really, when he was in high school, he was like, "Ma, I want to help Elon put his first human on, in outer space." And I was like, "I think you're gonna be a little bit late for that project. I don't even think you're gonna be out of school well before they even have that happen." So his focus was already on the next best thing with whatever Elon's doing. So hopefully by the time he finishes school, that's still something that he strives for and something that Elon is interested in encouraging, because I know Elon goes through a lot. It seems like
Yeah.
one day he's here, one day he's here.
Yeah,
So
we're going to be talking about that guy for centuries to come.
yeah,
So thank you for giving us a little bit of your journey on being an engineer, a single mom, and how that's influenced. But now we're going to ask you the question that this show is all about, and that is, what's engaging your thoughts?
well, I mean, the past 2 weeks have been crazy on so many levels, between what's going on in the news with George Floyd, between the call for reform in our, justice and our police systems, the whole pandemic. Is it real? Is it not real? Are we sick? Do we wear a mask? Should we not wear a mask? Do we stay home? Do we go to work? Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So what is like, I remember speaking to you during the Colin Kaepernick,
Hmm.
when that was going down, and you were one of the first ones that, brought out to me, when people kneel down, it's usually out of respect.
Yes.
And now you have the NFL coming out saying, oh, let's apologize to Kaepernick. What are some of the things that you are noticing about this time around that you think might actually cause some change, some lasting change?
Well, one, the people want to be heard, and they're not just being quieted with small pacifications of promises and money and, oh, we'll just do this one thing here. The people want to be heard, and they want to be heard across all races, all colors, not just one small segment of disenfranchised people. So I think that is having the biggest impact. And they're not just stepping down because one little thing was done. Additionally, I definitely think that we have a long way to go. While we have gotten the fire started, there needs to be some organization that is taking place simultaneously. So while this momentum is going, it can continue and actually have a huge impact with huge results.
And what do you think some of the steps that can be taken so that we can actually maybe this time get some laws enacted, because that's what it's going to come down to, right? How do we make these things actual laws that are followed by the culture in general?
Well, one, there has to be reform within our policing. And I know that that sounds very simply stated, but as you know, my roommate is an officer of the law. She's an African American woman. She's a sheriff. So I get to hear a lot of things outside of just a traffic stop or someone got handcuffed because they had a gun. Like, there's so much involved in what they do. Like, for her, she's an officer in high school. So
Okay.
we have situations like in Minneapolis where they're like, defund the police, get rid of the police. Well, the police do more than the job that this particular officer did a disservice to. So we have to, one, understand what it is that we want and need. Two, understand the ways we can acquire that. That may not always be an all or nothing type of approach. So we
Yeah.
just have to we have to be mindful of the whole aspect of what's going on. And in no way am I saying what has happened is correct. In no way am what I'm saying that what happened is acceptable. I'm just saying that before we make such a finite demand, we better know what that demand entails, because sometimes we may not feel the effects of that for 6, 9, 12, 10 years
Yeah,
later.
a generation later.
Exactly. So we just have to be very mindful of that, make sure that these things that we're calling for and that we're pushing for are in the direction that we want to go in. Our hearts and our minds are definitely in the right place.
So, do you think that we are trending in the right direction?
What do you mean by trending?
With this go around, does it feel like, okay, now maybe this time there's going to be, maybe even if it's 1 or 2 steps forward, are we going to take those steps forward? Or do you feel we're just at a standstill where it's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors like it's been in the past, and we don't actually do anything to move forward? So do you feel that there's going to, like, it's going to start trending in the right direction?
If we can structure the organization behind the actions that are taken and the results that are coming from these actions, 100%. But if we're just blindly moving and allowing the rage to drive us, history will repeat itself.
And what are some experiences that you may have had in your lifetime that have made you maybe feel marginalized or, like the other?
Well, I can honestly think of some recently. I actually have people that are really close to me right now. Like every time I see them, they embrace me. They have been a second type family to me that are refusing to have open minds and develop a level of understanding to why the things that they're saying, the actions that they're taking, and the disregard that they are showing are extremely problematic. And it's very hurtful, to be honest with you, because I actually love these people and I'm just like, crap, like it's such an internal conflict because these people have done great things for me, and it's not like they're celebrities so they get to show, oh, I'm helping this Black lady, you know what I'm saying? That's not even the case here. And there's been times where they've looked out for my son without me even knowing. So I know that they do have an emotional connection, but the level of ignorance that they are choosing, and I say choosing because they fight so hard to hold on to their perspective, it's really problematic.
Okay, so
Go
you
ahead.
brought up the word love here when you're
Mhm.
talking about these people. When we bring up the word love, and of course, I want your feedback on this, is something that you're supposed to accept people as they are,
Right.
let them have whatever opinions they have, even if they don't agree with you. But as you said, they've been there for you, they've been there for your son. So, how do we Tetris love together with maybe somebody who, again, is showing you all these positive, parts of what it means to be human while still having a separate thought pattern?
Oh, it is what I've been doing in the current situation is encouraging them to be more open-minded and learn how what you're doing is problematic, learn the impact that it is having, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but love is not enough in any situation. Yeah, you can love someone through it, but just like someone who is ill, you can love them through their illness, but you still need money to pay the doctor bills. You still need a doctor to come in and diagnose you. Love is not always enough. It just helps you get through the difficult times. And the whole acceptance of who they are, accepting someone doesn't mean I have to tolerate you. That just means I have to place you in an area in my life where at that point I can allow you to be you to the extent where you do not infringe on my peace. And that acceptance might be me not dealing with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to be careful how we tie certain things in with other things. Just because you love someone does not mean that you're supposed to tolerate abuse, accept inadequacies that infringe on you being 100% of the person that you can be. That's not what love means.
Yeah. Love means you're free to be the person that you
Right.
can be.
In that, think about it. They say love is patient, love is kind, love is understanding. Well, in that same person that I love also tells me that they love me. So they have to learn to also understand, you know, saying that those thugs need to get out the streets and go sit down because you're uncomfortable. Hello. They're fighting for people who look like the person you say you love. Have you ever stopped to ask why?
And have they? What have the conversations been like when you try to?
Conversation has been totally So I've been getting indirect conversation. They won't talk to me directly. And I know exactly why, because I can stand my ground. I know how to speak for myself and articulate myself in a manner where you can say your cuss words and you can say whatever. It won't stop me from being able to tell you where you stand and where I stand with you in that matter. And if you don't accept that, then yeah, we're at an impasse. And I think that's something that they're not prepared to face. I am, but I don't think they are. And I'm not going to push it.
Yeah, because you have to let them grow when they're ready to grow.
Right.
That's part of loving somebody.
Exactly.
All right. So thank you for sharing all those thoughts. What have you been engaging yourself with when it comes to trying to improve your mind and body during all this time?
Well, I definitely exercise daily. I have a morning meditation that I do to try to motivate myself to move through the day, because I have to be honest, it's been very exhausting just thinking about entering into the day, just knowing what's going on. Because even if you take away the racism and the fight for all of that, just the whole pandemic thing, not knowing if this is real, not real, getting these reports that constantly contradict each other. And then you have human beings who, out of fear, are just being the most evil people ever, So it's like you don't even want to leave your home, because it's like, why are you persecuting me for something that the source you're getting your information from is not even sure about,
Yeah, for
So,
sure. It's a lot of question mark.
yes.
It's a lot of question mark.
There's been a lot of self-care as far as, I do like little mini facials once a week. Um, we have our wind down time, me and my girlfriends, we do that at least once a week. Like I said, the morning meditations, I exercise daily, and I definitely make sure that I try to have contact with at least one person that I love, and that conversation
Well,
doesn't
you
have
haven't been calling me every day.
person. That means I have a lot of people I love. But I do try to contact and at least say hello, how are you, thinking of you, love you, and get a smile from them, and they give me a smile, and we're good.
So when you're talking about your morning meditation, is it a consistent one? Is there a theme to your meditations lately?
I just wake up and I give thanks that I am awake. I am of sound mind, sound body, able body. I give thanks for the abundance that I have and that is coming to me in all forms, whether it be emotional, financial, physical. Ask that I am able to be the best version of myself today and better than I was yesterday.
Amazing. I think that is happening all the time. So when it's coming now, you were mentioning finances, career. What has like the pandemic and all this civil unrest done to like your engineering? It probably definitely affected your modeling part of your career, but how has it been affecting those parts of your life?
I was fortunate enough where my business was considered essential, because since I'm electrical, I'm in power, they're considered essential. So we did not shut down, but business did slow down. We were able to work from home. I was able to stay employed. And I decided to use this time intentionally and work on projects and things that I kind of felt overwhelmed with being in the office. So that was a plus there. As far as modeling, yeah, all of that stopped because there was no meeting up for a shoot or anything. But I have had time to work on self-taping. I took some makeup classes to better prepare myself so that when I'm going to shoots, I can show up more prepared. And I could also start to work on doing my own headshots because I have my own professional camera and that whole setup as well. So it actually gave me time to really hone in on personal growth, and of course it was hard to focus because all the chaos, but when you really sat down to think about it, I was like, my schedule's finally cleared and I'm not obligated to be any one place at one time. Let me invest in myself so I can grow later.
And I'm so glad that is what you are choosing to do with your time. Relationships. How have your relationships, aside from the ones that have to do with racial tensions, but how are how's the relationship with yourself going while you've been working on all this inner work that you've started to do? How is your relationships going with family, business, romantic? So just your relationships. Let's dig into that a little bit.
They're good. Like, not to like be very short about it, but again, I was able to invest more energy, genuine energy, in time with intentions into all my relationships with family. Like me and my brother have spoken so much more, and I'm so proud of him because he was at a very, very dark place in his life, and he has definitely come out of that, and he is doing so amazing, and I could not be more proud of him. For my birthday, which is coming up, he actually sent
Yeah.
me
Tomorrow or
it's
uh-huh.
Thursday. I mean
Thursday?
Friday.
Friday.
Um, he actually sent me a painted portrait that he did based off of one of my modeling pictures, and it was so amazing. It just shows how talented he is. But sorry to get off on a tangent. I was
No,
able,
that's
I've been
good. That's what we want. We want the raw vulnerability of everything that's happening in your life.
I've been able to connect with him a lot more. We've had some very in-depth conversations, and he's just happy. It just makes my heart swell just to hear from him. My son, it's helped our relationship because during this time he had to make some decisions, and the decisions he chose helped him to show me the level of independence that he's gained, the level of responsibility that he's gained, um, some maturity that has come about during this experience for him. And so it just makes me a proud mom there. As far as friendships and romantic relationships, I just feel like they've been more genuine. I've been able to just sit down and have those conversations because nobody's in a hurry to get to the next appointment. Nobody's saying, oh, I don't have time. Everybody had all the time, so there was plenty of time for us to just really connect on different levels.
That's amazing to hear you say that you are connecting with, your brother, your son, and that everything, that you're having a lot of good connections in that aspect. So now we're going to move on and transition. And I would like to ask you, who would you like to speak to, dead or alive?
I would love to speak to my grandmother. She has passed. She passed before I was born. But anybody that knows my mom or my family and that knew my grandmother, they always say I am her reincarnated. So I would love to just have a small conversation with her. I think that would be amazing.
Awesome. So who or what are some of the resources that have inspired you the most?
My mom is a big component. Reasons why she's she's an interesting creature. She's very loving, very nurturing, that down home grandmother, that big mama that everybody wants to be around. But she in her youth was so fearless. Like I listened to the story she tells me about, like how her and her girlfriend decided after high school, they just up and moved to Germany, which is where I was born.
Oh,
But
wow.
I was like, she had such a diverse friend group, and the travels and the parties and the things she always talks about is like so amazing. So she's always inspired me to strive for more than just the little 5 mile radius around my home, made me adventurous, and I like that. Ooh, I would have to say my current Tampa Framily, and I call them family because they're my friend family.
Yeah.
They have been some of the most amazing support because I don't have family here in Tampa. I moved here when I got married, got divorced, and it was just me and my son. They have definitely not only been supportive, but challenged me to level up at every turn. So every time I get somewhere and I'm feeling good and I'm like, oh, this is great, they challenge me. And next thing you know, I'm doing the next best thing. And it's like, wow. So I have to say that support system has been like the best.
And I did not know you were German.
Well, I don't have my dual citizenship anymore, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good to know on Jojo.
I do still have family over there. I actually just visited my uncle back at the end of last
So
year.
you still have family over there?
Hmm.
And what is their experience like going, like when you speak to them, what is their experience like, the European as opposed to the American experience?
Well, my uncle refuses to come back. And so my uncle's American, his wife is full German. And like when I was visiting, we were talking about his health issues and things like that. And, he was like, no, I love it here. I would not, I'll come back to the States to visit. That's
Yeah.
it. So,
Hmm.
and I've heard that a lot. I actually have a really good friend that moved to Luxembourg, and that's like the best thing that's ever happened to her, it seems.
Yeah. When you find a home and it suits you, why
Hmm.
leave? So
Yeah.
now, if you could go back, since you brought her up, and speak to your 18-year-old mother, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to go into the military despite what your husband said.
Why? So she wanted to be in the military and she didn't?
Because my father was against it. He didn't want to be separated from her. But, shortly after they moved back to the States, they ended up getting divorced. And my mom didn't have the college education or the foundation to do the things that she felt like she wanted to for us and needed to for us. So she worked hard and she provided the best she could by far. But had he not been so insecure about what he had going on, because he had a lot going on, she could have had a different kind of foundation and they probably would have had a stronger marriage too.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So now, last question is, are there any questions you would like to ask me?
Yes. So I would like your take on everything that's been going on. I mean, you can keep it short and sweet or you can dive deep, but
Yeah.
I know you also are a minority, you have a son that you're raising that could be affected by what's going on. You also have a daughter that, again, can be highly affected by what's going on. I'm pretty sure, you've had to address the question of how, why do we even have to have a certain kind of conversation with our kids about police and what happens and things like that. So just like, what what are your feelings about it all?
So interestingly, as this all started unfolding, the person that I noticed was posting about it the most on her stories was my daughter.
Oh,
And it's again, it's interesting because my daughter, she's a pretty little girl and she's all about making her crafts, and she has a little shout out to Crafts by Alexa on Instagram. If anybody wants to buy like a cup or something that she's making. But every day on her stories she was posting things about why we need to have civil unrest and why this is unfair and why. And she's 17. I don't really know how much she really knows and understands about the overall complexity of it, but I haven't had a chance to speak with her yet because, they're at that age where the person that they practice the most autonomy with is me because they don't live with me. So it's like I
right,
call and they don't answer because they're like, I don't live with that guy, so I don't have to answer. But I still call, and I call all the time. I would love to speak to them about all this and really get their perspective because although they lack experience, they're still growing up in another generation.
right,
And there's always a bit of evolution from generation to generation. When I was growing up, I thought very much like, oh, racism shouldn't even be a thing. Like, why? Now I grew up here in South Florida where everything is here. The only thing we really don't have much of are Asians, but I'm sure if they were here we'd be cool with them too. But
right.
everything else is here. And so there's white people, there's Russian people, there's Spanish people, there's European people, there's every
Every
type of people. So I am interested in knowing what is driving that energy behind my daughter. My son, on the other hand, has kind of locked himself up in his room.
hmm,
He's kind of gone really introvert, which I'm concerned about because I think locking yourself up in dark rooms over a long period of time does not have a positive impact. His mother, tries to talk to him and get him out, but he's always kind of been that introvert. I needed, you give me my space and I'm fine. I don't need to really speak that much to anybody. But again, I would love to have a conversation with him and dig into more about what he's feeling, but
hmm,
he needs to be, willing to answer the phone.
right.
I'm going to be hopeful and think that the seeds that are being planted now are going to lead to, even if it's just 1% better. 1% better is better than no percent better. And evolution and adaptation take time. I really wish we did live in a world where there was, as people have said before, equality of opportunity. When people ask me, oh, Flip, how are you doing? I tell them I'm living the dream. And part of the reason I tell people I live the dream is because I really take to heart that simple sentence that Martin Luther King said of, I want my daughters to live in a world where they're judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. If you're cool, I don't care what you look like. We can hang out. if you're not cool with me, we don't have to be. There's no rule that says everybody's supposed to get along with everybody, but I can still let you be in your peace and you let me be in my peace. So that's the example that I would like to put out in the world. Finances, career. This thing has taken a hit on my career because, I'm a holistic health coach, which is a very luxury thing to be. So right now, when people are very uncertain about what's going on, luxuries are the first thing that take a hit. I'm going to work through it very much like you. I am meditating on why things are happening for me.
Okay.
Instead of to me. And very much like what you're saying, I've taken a lot of this time to do a lot of inner work. Every single day I wake up, I meditate, I write in my journal. I've been doing yoga every single day, which is a moving meditation. And I do my normal workouts and I ride my bike and do all that other stuff. But look, this show has come out of the quarantine because I want to do something. It's like, what is it that you like to do? I'm like, well, I like to talk to people. So why don't I start something where I can actually take the time to learn something that I actually want to learn to get better at, and that's listen. So I get to listen to people, listen to all these perspectives. And when you listen, that's when you do the most learning. These are the things that I've been engaging myself the most with lately.
Good.
So, all right, we've made it to the end here. And I know that you're a popular little vixen on the Instagram. So let the people know where they can see more of Jojo.
You can find me on Instagram at Not The Average Jojo. The O's in Jojo are 0. You can also find me on Facebook at Jojo Shaw. And yeah.
And don't go stalking her just to stalk her either.
Walk away, just don't be creepy. No, just kidding.
Thank you, everybody. This has been another episode of WEYT. If you think this episode has been pretty cool, you can like it and share it with people who you think might need to hear this message, or if the message resonates with you. You can find this and past episodes of WEYT on YouTube, which is on YouTube, it's called WEYT Show. On Facebook, it's called WEYT, and that WEYT is spelled WEYT because it's what's engaging your thoughts. On Instagram, it's also WEYT Show. And today I got an email saying I'm finally out on Apple Podcasts and Google Play Store and all that fun stuff. So we're working on it. We're trying to spread the word forward. I'll close it with what I say every time, and that is time and attention is the greatest gift we can give to each other. So thank you, Jojo, for your time and attention, and thank all of you for listening for your time and attention as well. So until next time, here's to spreading more peace, love, and smiles. Later.